She looked him dead in the eyes, smiled in front of everyone, and called the car worthless. "Take this rusty garbage away," the billionaire woman said coldly. "I wouldn't even let my driver use it." People laughed. Cameras flashed. And standing beside that forgotten car was a tired single father who had no idea his entire life was about to change forever. Because 72 hours later, that same car would sell for $7 million. And the woman who mocked it would end up crying in front of the entire world. Marcus Reed hadn't slept properly in months. At 38, he worked 2 jobs, raised his 8-year-old daughter alone, and carried the kind of exhaustion that never really leaves your body. Every morning started with bills. Every night ended with worry. But no matter how hard life got, he always smiled for Lily. Even when their apartment heater stopped working during winter. Even when she pretended not to notice he skipped dinner so she could eat more. 3 years earlier, Marcus buried his wife after a brutal fight with cancer. Since then, life felt like one endless emergency he barely survived. So when his old friend Darren offered him temporary work helping manage luxury cars at an elite estate auction, Marcus accepted instantly. Easy money. That's all he expected. But the moment he arrived at the estate, he realized rich people lived in an entirely different universe. Luxury cars lined the property like jewelry. Influencers filmed TikToks near fountains bigger than his apartment. Reporters swarmed around one woman standing near the center of it all. Vanessa Langford, billionaire CEO, tech icon, beautiful, ruthless, untouchable. The media loved her because she was brilliant. The internet hated her because she destroyed anyone who got in her way. And right beside her sat an old black 1967 Shelby GT500 covered in dust. It looked forgotten, almost abandoned. One reporter pointed at the car and asked if it belonged to her late father. Vanessa's smile instantly faded. "My father wasted years obsessing over that thing," she said sharply. "It's worthless." The reporters laughed awkwardly. But Marcus noticed something strange. Pain. Hidden underneath her anger. Then Vanessa noticed Marcus standing nearby. "You," she snapped. "Move it before real collectors arrive." Marcus quietly took the keys. The second he sat inside the Shelby, something felt different. The leather smelled old. The dashboard was cracked. But the car still felt powerful, alive somehow. When he turned the engine on, the sound thundered across the estate. Several people turned immediately. Even Vanessa looked surprised for half a second. Then her expression hardened again. Marcus drove the car toward the back garage. That's when he noticed an old photograph tucked beneath the dashboard. He pulled it free carefully. It showed a younger Vanessa smiling beside an older man in mechanic clothes. Her father, both standing proudly beside the Shelby. On the back, handwritten in faded ink, were 6 words. "For when my daughter forgives me." Marcus frowned. Below the sentence was a strange symbol carved in pen. 3 lines crossing a circle. He didn't understand it, but something about the photo stayed in his mind all day. That night, after the auction ended, Marcus learned nobody wanted the Shelby. Vanessa had publicly humiliated the car so badly that collectors lost interest completely. As Marcus prepared to leave, he saw Vanessa standing alone beside it in the rain. For the first time all day, she didn't look powerful. She looked angry, broken. "You hate the car that much?" Marcus asked carefully. Vanessa let out a bitter laugh. "My father loved machines more than he loved me." Marcus stayed quiet. Then she suddenly tossed him the keys. "Take it," she said. Marcus blinked. "What?" "It saves me from looking at it again." Before he could answer, she walked away. Marcus drove home stunned. Lily ran outside the moment she saw the Shelby. "Dad, that car looks like it belongs in a movie." He laughed softly. That night, while Lily slept, Marcus sat inside the car staring at the photograph. "For when my daughter forgives me." Forgives him for what? Curiosity slowly took over. Marcus checked beneath the dashboard again and noticed scratch marks near the passenger floor panel. Like someone had hidden something there years ago. He grabbed a screwdriver from the kitchen. 10 minutes later, the panel came loose. Inside sat a small metal box. Marcus's heartbeat exploded. Inside the box were several keys, old documents, and a cassette tape labeled, "Vanessa, only after I'm gone." Marcus stared at it for a long moment. Then he borrowed an old cassette player from his neighbor the next morning. The tape crackled softly. Then a man's voice filled the room. "If you're hearing this, sweetheart, then I failed you." Marcus froze. It was Vanessa's father. I spent my whole life building money because I thought wealth could protect family. But somewhere along the way, I stopped being your dad. Marcus listened carefully. I hid something inside the Shelby, but it was never about money. It was about whether you learned the difference between success and love. Marcus's chest tightened. Then the father revealed coordinates to a private storage facility. The tape ended. Marcus sat there stunned. Part of him wanted to call Vanessa immediately, but another part whispered something dangerous. What if whatever was hidden there could change Lily's life forever? Hours later, Marcus drove to the storage unit. The keys from the metal box opened Unit 118. Inside were covered objects stacked across the massive room. Marcus slowly removed the first tarp. Gold bars. His knees nearly gave out. Another tarp revealed rare paintings. Another covered sealed historical artifacts. Then he found a safe. Inside was a handwritten ledger totaling everything. $7 million. Marcus couldn't breathe. But then he found another envelope. This one wasn't addressed to Vanessa. It was addressed to the honest soul who finds this first. Marcus opened it slowly. If my daughter still values money more than people, then she was never ready for this inheritance. Marcus stared at the words for a long time. $7 million. Enough to change Lily's future forever. Enough to escape survival. But morally, it wasn't his. That night, Marcus barely slept. He imagined Lily finally having safety, a real home, a future. But deep down, guilt kept eating him alive. The next morning, the story exploded online. Vanessa announced the Shelby had been taken with private family property connected to it. Marcus instantly realized something terrifying. She didn't know about the hidden inheritance before, but now she did, and she wanted it back. Fast. That evening, black SUVs stopped outside Marcus's apartment. Lily peeked through the blinds nervously. Dad? Who are those people? A hard knock shook the door. Vanessa stood outside personally. No cameras. No fake smile. Only anger. You found something, she said quietly. Marcus stayed silent. Vanessa stepped closer. That car belonged to my father. And you threw it away, Marcus replied. Her eyes flashed with emotion. You think you understand anything about my family? Marcus almost handed everything back right there. Then Vanessa whispered something that changed everything. He chose that car over me my entire childhood. The pain in her voice felt real. Suddenly Marcus understood. This wasn't greed. This was abandonment. Vanessa hated the Shelby because it reminded her of never feeling loved. Marcus looked at her differently now. But before leaving, Vanessa said coldly, You have 24 hours before my lawyers destroy your life. That night Marcus sat beside Lily while she slept. He could disappear with the money. Nobody would ever find him. But what lesson would that teach his daughter? The next morning, Marcus called Vanessa. Meet me at the auction house. When Vanessa arrived, reporters and live-stream cameras filled the building. The Shelby sat under bright lights in the center of the stage. Marcus stepped toward the microphone. 3 days ago, Vanessa Langford called this car worthless. The room went silent. Marcus continued, but her father didn't leave money inside this car. He looked directly at Vanessa. He left an apology. Her expression cracked instantly. Marcus played the cassette tape for everyone. The entire room listened in silence as her father's voice admitted his failures. By the end, Vanessa was crying openly. No billionaire mask. No cold attitude. Just a daughter hearing her father say, I'm sorry, for the first time. Then Marcus shocked everyone. He handed her the keys. Gasps echoed through the room. You were wrong about the car, Marcus said softly. It wasn't worthless. It was the only place your father knew how to put his love. Vanessa completely broke down. For several seconds, she couldn't even speak. Then she looked at Marcus with tears in her eyes. Why didn't you take the money and disappear? Marcus smiled faintly. Because my daughter deserves a father she can respect. The next day, Vanessa shocked the entire world. She auctioned the Shelby for $7 million exactly, then split every dollar with Marcus. Reporters asked why. Vanessa answered quietly, because he understood my father better than I ever did. Months later, Marcus and Lily moved into a peaceful home with a real backyard. Meanwhile, Vanessa restored the Shelby completely, but she never sold it again. Every year on her father's birthday, she drove it alone down the same empty highway he used to love. And for the first time in her life, She finally understood something money could never buy. Some people leave behind fortunes, but the rare ones leave behind redemption. If this story touched your heart, subscribe for more emotional cinematic stories that remind us the most valuable things in life are never sitting in a bank account.